Hey, my peoples, welcome again to On the Mic with the M.
Auntie.
And today's discussion is going to be about growth and people's inability to grow or don't want to grow. I don't even know which. I don't know if it's they don't want to grow or they're scared to grow. But they have to change and grow to become who they want to be. And I don't understand why it's such a hard thing to do.
Why it's a hard thing to do?
Yeah.
Because it starts with the work on yourself as opposed to the work on somebody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's easier to project what someone else needs to do as opposed to sitting yourself down and figuring out what you need to do. That's what I would assume.
Yeah, but you would think the same people complain day in and day out about how their lives are miserable and they don't know what's going on and what I need to do to make the changes and then when you say, hey, you gotta do the work. Oh, I don't want to do the work.
The habitual complainers
Yes.
or lifelong complainers.
Yes, they will grow old and still complain about stuff 30 years ago. Talk about it's like buying a dress and say, you know what? I'm too big to get in this dress right now, but that's gonna make me go out to the gym and work out and fit into that dress. And you know what happens? That dress goes out of style because you're still fat. You still can't get in that damn dress.
Yeah, yeah, you should have just bought a dress your size because you didn't have any intentions on real change.
Exactly, and it's just like in general, people do that, and it just but they get mad at everybody else who's moving. Like so, they think they're better than me. No, they just did the damn work that you didn't want to do.
Their own personal growth. That's what they engaged in, and now you don't like it.
Mad,
Mad, mad.
hot.
Yeah. So why do we hold on to the nonsense that we know is nonsense? We know we need to make a change. We know what we're doing, and what we continue to do does not bring us the change that we want, or not
Mm-hmm.
even the change, but the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't bring us the outcome that we want, because ultimately, the work is not what we're focused on, right?
Nope.
That's not the part that we even care about.
No.
We're more so worried about the outcome
Mm-hmm.
or the end game. And so if you want a certain end result or an end game, why you shy away from the work?
I
Because
think,
what you've been doing has not been working, right?
which is insanity.
Mhm.
Keep doing the same thing and
Mhm.
expect a different result.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I think it's more of a people don't really want to do the work. Um, they'll. Here's the thing with anything: motivation will get you started, but you have to be determined. You have to sacrifice. You have to be motivated to continue. For instance, a lot of people, when it was cold, didn't think about summertime. It was cold.
Right.
So you ate everything, you drank everything. You're like, you know what? It's November.
Mhm.
May is coming, but May is months down the road. So I got time to eat all I can eat, what I want to eat, and then be able to turn it around before May. But what happened is you got so comfortable that um, December happened, January happened, February happened. You haven't changed anything,
Mhm.
but you keep telling yourself, that, oh, I still got time until time ran out. Now it's May,
Right.
and now you try to put those same clothes you had on last year
Last summer.
don't fit at all. And then
Okay.
you're mad, like, I can't believe I ain't gaining that much. I can't believe I'm this big now.
Uh huh. Uh
Well,
huh.
what do you think was going to happen if you kept eating the same amount of food, not exercising, and then hoping, wishing upon a star that, I'm just going to pick up and do what I need to do, and now you're bigger than you was last year. So who's to blame for that?
Right, you have yourself to blame, but that one's easy, right? Where you can identify the work needing to be done um, is pretty much two things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Watch your diet
Mm-hmm.
and exercise, perhaps,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But what does the work look like when we're referencing like a young man in the dating realm? And someone says you need to get your act together, and technically, you keep running into the same type of woman or the same situation, right? And they
Yeah.
say you need to do the work to get yourself together. What does that quote
Ooh.
unquote work look like? Because it's easy to say that, and it's kind of become something like that cliche term that people toss around like, oh, you need to do the work, you better do the
Exactly.
work.
Yep.
But do we actually know what the quote unquote work looks like?
I think in a lot of cases we really don't, because you
Mhm.
have to think about it. If someone tells you to do the work,
Yeah.
and let's say that you're just who you are based on situations and circumstances.
Right.
For somebody to say, then you got to do work, you're not where you should be based on
Mhm.
someone else telling you that. And then
Right.
if you say,
Or
oh,
based on where life has positioned you at. You know you that's to be uncomfortable.
mm-hmm,
You know you're not supposed to be there.
very true.
Yeah.
And that means you really have to, it goes back to looking in the mirror. You have
Mhm.
to really look at the mirror and say, what change you need to make? So you have to know that. You have to say, okay, what am I not happy with? It goes back to that journal that I talked about in the first
Mhm.
episode. You have to literally sit down and take a piece of paper out and write down your pros and cons and be realistic about it. It's not about what you think somebody wants to hear, because it's you.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
not worrying about what anybody thinks, but you got to look and say, okay, I may not be motivated enough to do this. So how do I get that motivation? So how do I
Yeah.
change that?
In other words, get in your own judgment free zone.
You have
Yeah,
to. You
and be
got to.
honest
You
with that pen
got
and
to.
paper and
Yes,
write down what's really going on with
exactly.
yourself that you're not really comfortable or happy with.
Exactly. And you can't do
Hmm.
it in your head. See, a lot of people want to sit down
That's true.
and want to sit outside and think about, well, you know what, I need to make this change, but
Hmm.
that's going to take me doing this. So what happens is you start to bounce. It's like a bullet that's just bouncing around in your head and going nowhere. It's just
It's like
ricocheting.
your thoughts are just wandering around, or you're daydreaming, so to speak,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because you're not really planning anything. You don't have anything to refer back to, like, oh, I wanted to obtain this goal, or I wanted to calm down this trait or this habit. And let's say in 3 weeks you forget about that, that you even thought about that you were going to engage in any bit of change.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the thought leaves out of your head, then it's just gone. But
Mm-hmm.
if you know that you have that written down as a reference, you open that up and you see, oh, this is what I'm working on. It reminds you and, realigns you to what you technically wanted out of life.
Exactly. And a lot of
Yeah.
people don't. Right now, everybody say they're busy. Oh, I'm so busy, I can't do this. No, you're not. Let me tell you, if your health deteriorates,
Mhm.
you'll quickly say, "Oh, you know what? I need to start working out. I need to start doing this." Why? Because situations has changed that it made you now be aware of your
Mhm.
health.
Mhm.
You shouldn't wait till something that dire happens. Like, you know what? If you eating wrong and all of a sudden you end up with diabetes or cancer or whatever,
Right.
that shouldn't be the eye opener. You should realize, like, wait a minute. I need to make a change now because I know this is not going to end well,
Mhm.
and make that change. I.e., if you look at your life and say, hey, this ain't going the way it should be going, you have to be realistic about it and sit down and actually write. And you have to come to it every day. It's now you have to change the habit. Your
Yes.
habit is now I get up every morning, I look at my book, I knew what I'm trying to go after, and just every day look at that book. And people need to do that, but
Mhm.
people want to do it. Oh, I can do it myself. If that was the case, we wouldn't have the problems we got right now.
And you're not supposed to do much of anything on your own. That doesn't even make sense. We've adopted this weird idea that you're supposed to do so many things on your own, and that's just so false. It's the furthest thing from the truth.
Exactly. And then
Mhm.
you look at for instance, a young man, and depending on his background, he maybe just circumstances made him who he is. If he okay,
Right.
worst case scenario, no daddy, no mama, uh, living with different people. He ends up 18.
Okay.
So now he's 18. He's quote unquote legal
Mhm.
in the eyes of the law.
Right.
So now he's out there. He's searching for someone. For me, he is now a cracked, possibly broken individual.
Mhm.
Why? Because stability wasn't there. He had to basically grow up himself. So
Yes.
he's in that survival mode, which is unfortunately because from age 0 to 18 should be nurturing, teaching,
Guided. Uh
training,
huh.
guidance. He didn't have that. So
Mhm.
now he's 18. He's out here in these streets trying to now take that survival mode in which he was brought up on, and now trying to convert that to a functioning, loving human being. He don't know where to start.
Okay.
I think at that point you need to go out there and you need to start searching because it's not going to come to you. It's not one of those things. You're going to sit there and hold your hand over and say, "I need guidance. I need knowledge." It's not going to fall out the sky. You have to go out there and search for it. That means you have to do the work, which
Mhm.
means you got to go outside yourself because you have to go outside your comfort zone to get comfortable. which is kind of weird. But you have to,
Mhm. Mhm.
you're like I have to
Give me
learn.
some resources. Who you referring to?
Oh wow, it's so many things. Oh,
Coworker.
could
An
be a
older,
coworker,
yeah.
could be someone
Someone in
who's
the job who's
older,
older. Yeah.
who is established. You can look up and say, hey, they're living their life a certain way. Have a conversation with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it could be as easy as the people you work around,
Mm-hmm.
opening your mouth up and having a just honest conversation, very
You just
generalized.
said something. Opening up your mouth.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
problem is people don't want to feel stupid, or people don't want to feel like I shouldn't have to ask you anything. I should
Mhm.
know it.
Mhm.
And I think we get past that mindset. That's the issue we have in this world. Like everybody's like, I have the answer to it, and you really don't. You just go on again, bounce around in your own mind about what the answer is, what the solutions are, and it's based on you. And if you're tainted in a lot of ways on how you're thinking about things, then that view is going to be tainted. So
Yes.
you got to be able to open your mouth and say, "Listen, I need some help.
Yes.
I need some assistance, or I just want to talk to
Yeah,
you."
sometimes it doesn't even have to be as much as saying I need help or assistance. I just want to talk. I'm just trying to gauge you. How did
Mm-hmm.
you get to where you're at? You
Very
know,
true.
just have a conversation. How do you plan your family? How did you plan your family?
Mm-hmm.
You can have a general conversation with someone like that, and I guarantee you a lot of the things that you feel uncomfortable to speak about with people, especially when you speak to someone with maturity,
Mm-hmm.
it may just come out when when
Yeah.
you're talking about someone's family and you're like, hey, how you get along with you and your kids. Because you could
Mm-hmm.
think that they have a picture perfect relationship. You see the little pictures on his desk. He out there
Mm-hmm.
at the basketball tournaments. That's why he
Yeah.
wasn't at work last weekend type of thing. And you think that, hey, he might have it going on. Let me ask a little advice on what's going on in their life. And he might actually say, hey, yeah, I do enjoy lifestyle with my kids, but there's a lot of things that come with that
Ooh.
to kind of normalize what you thought wasn't normal
Mm-hmm.
or to kind of bring you up to speed with some things that you perhaps could do in your situation. You don't necessarily just need to ask for help, just open a conversation
Yeah.
and get some, grab whatever you can from the conversation and move on or, inquire a little further.
That is a great idea because again, you're dealing with so much information because disinformation out there because you look on the internet, there's so much information about so
Hmm.
many things, and a lot of them you have to do your due diligence. You can't trust it. So if you talk to
Yeah.
someone who's living it,
Yes. Hmm.
then they'll give you the pros and the cons. They're not going to tell you, oh, it's beautiful, it's all hunky dory. It's
Yep.
a lie because
Yeah.
again, you're in a relationship. It's always ups and downs. There's always situations, and you just have to be mindful
Hmm.
that everything's not going to be perfect, and everything is going to you have to go through some things sometimes. But that's especially for young men because you know a lot of young men don't realize or don't see their value or how do they fit in or what do they have to offer.
Hmm.
And to be honest, we're still learning. I mean, as women and men, we're learning. I mean,
Yes.
so it's a constant learning experience. It's not like, oh, I'm 22, I know everything. No, you don't. You'll learn to the day you die.
Yeah. Adopting the mindset of having a lifelong learning experience.
Yeah,
That's sensible.
you would think so, but some people you talk to don't have that same mindset. It's like, oh, I'm good.
Mhm.
I'm good who I am. But then
Mhm.
you look at them from the outside, he's like, wow, but you're miserable.
Yes.
You're miserable as hell,
Yes.
and you don't even know it. People like that, I don't even talk to because my thing is, it's not my job to make you live a better life. It's
Mhm.
your job to want better in your life.
Absolutely.
So, like I said, the conversation we're having right now is gonna make people uncomfortable. Well, who are they
Mhm.
to tell us what we should do? Here's the thing: if you're mad at us for telling you what you should be doing, then damn, you should do it because
Mhm.
that should be telling you need to do something different.
Yes. Yes.
You need to say, hey, don't take what we take and just blow us off, but use them become better. Be damn better.
Mhm.
I just want people to be better.
Mhm.
They're accepting whatever is going on in their lives and just yeah, well that's just the way it is. It don't have to be that way. You can do better, and be around. But try to strive to hang around people who do better. Just because people around you ain't doing nothing, don't mean well, I'm better than they are. So what the hell does that mean? I ain't using drugs that they using. But I drink all the time, but I ain't using no drugs. Okay, so you took
But now
one.
you got to be the best in your circle.
Yes,
Now you get to be the best person in your circle.
and how sad is that if you don't use drugs, but you drink and you barely have a job, but you're the best person in your whole circle. You need to change. You definitely need to change because again, if you got kids, they gotta look up to you. So what's that to look up to?
Yeah.
And you want better. So just do the work and stop trying to pray it away. Hope the Lord show you the vision. The Lord, you have to. People want to again. People use religion all the time for whatever they want to use it to, other than the true meaning of learning about yourself and making that walk. Make those decisions. Make those other decisions.
A lot of it is a spiritual understanding of self, right? That's missing, especially in the current generation. Can we say that?
Yeah, and how many people are just piss poor morally, piss poor spiritually?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how do they get so piss poor spiritually and piss poor morally?
You said how?
How? How? I mean, growing up, we would go to church. In fact, okay. They forced us to go to church. You ain't like kids like, I want to go to church. No.
Yes.
You got to force to go to church. But you learn a lot in church. And, of
Did
course,
you?
well, you're forced to learn some stuff in church
I mean,
anyway.
sometimes you did. Maybe you went to Sunday school. Maybe you played around in Sunday school.
Yeah. You played around. You kind of heard some things that sticks with you.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, maybe I need to follow that when I grow up. But then as you grow up, you're like, this ain't for me. I'm going to do something a little different. Church ain't my thing. And again, this is nothing against people who go to church. Again, if you go somewhere for your spiritual replenishment, doesn't matter. You can go to a church. You can go to a synagogue. You can go and sit in a park and sit on a yoga mat. As long as you're getting some sort of fulfillment, I'm all for that. But we got to get back to that because if you're piss poor morally, and you piss poor psychologically and piss poor spiritually, that's a piss poor person.
Yeah, because all religions, right? They teach you your way of life. And so when you see so many people who don't, or who kind of are lost in life, meaning they don't know their way, it's like,
that's true.
Technically, whose way of life are you following?
Ooh, that's
Probably
true.
no one.
No,
or
because,
anyone.
Yeah, because think about it. Let's say you fall off from the church, any church, and you try to have a discussion with people who are still in the church. What's the first thing you're going to say? You bring your ass back in church. You wouldn't be so lost. You were in church. Or if you said church ain't for me. Can you just talk to me outside of just telling me to go back to church? Is something you could, if you got that knowledge, I would think, you should be able to say help the sinners. If, if you're going to look at me as a sinner because I don't go to church, you should be able to show me something or tell me something that kind of point me in the direction or get me there. But people seem to be judgmental, though. I guess the judgmental people, rather say you're in this situation because your ass didn't go to church. Your ass didn't follow the word.
Oh, yeah, no, more so because you probably didn't follow the word. Or you probably didn't know it.
Oh.
You don't know the teachings. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people just don't know the teachings. If you were on a path and you understood the path and you just opted to go against it, that's your personal, business. But, I feel like a lot of people perhaps are just very ignorant.
Yeah, and
then your mom tries to tell you what to do properly, or your dad or your uncle or your teachers, and then you're just like ignorant to everybody and everything, and you try to create your own way, so to speak.
True.
Thinking that is, what you do. Somehow you just make your own way out here, even though you've had so many people there to advise you. Even though what you've been doing is not working for you, you're still trying to make your own way. It's like you'll be 30 still upset trying to make your own way, taking no one's advice, and miserable and talking about I don't need to change, pointing at everybody else. That's a bizarre concept.
And it's about ownership. It's about ownership and accountability. We all have to be accountable in everything we do in our life, and we have to own it.
Yes.
Nobody want to own anything anymore. Everybody, you make a mistake, you still say, I made a mistake. You won't blame everybody else. Well, society, the man, any kind of person has caused you to make this bad decision. When you just
Mhm.
say, I made a bad decision based on whatever. I
Yes.
wanted to make the bad decision. Then you have to live with it.
Own it and
Own it.
live it. Yeah.
Own it and live it and say, let's make a change. Because if you don't make a change, that feeds to everything else in your life.
Well, that ends up being the problem as well. Is when you can't own it. You're not accountable for what you are doing. So how can you change something that you're not doing? In
Ooh,
your mind, I'm not even doing that.
yeah.
I've had several different, as a man, perhaps several different girlfriends, never
Mhm.
quite making it to marriage. And
Mhm.
every situation that ends, it's always the lady's fault. Or a woman
Always.
who has several different, boyfriends, never quite makes it to marriage, and it's always the man's fault.
Mhm.
Like there's no accountability in your situation ever for a poor outcome, right?
Yes.
It'd be like you always achieving success, and you never acknowledge that you actually put in some work. We always acknowledge, the work we put in when we achieve the success.
Yep.
So how can we, even if it's poor work and
Mhm.
we achieve failure, you have to acknowledge that what you put in, that you put in something
Mhm.
to get to the end result ultimately,
Very
right?
true. Very true. And people just don't want to, it's almost like it we have to stop blaming other people. We
Mhm.
really do. I
No
mean,
one wants to be held accountable.
oh my god, because you can't keep saying, well, you know what, every chick I meet, she got the same problem. Well, it's
Mhm.
probably because every chick you meet is the same chick that you used to meeting.
Mhm.
You don't change it. It's
Because you
like,
have your same problems, or you present in your same manner,
mhm.
um, or you're still wanting and looking for a certain something,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
You've not matured yourself. You say that you want one thing, right?
Mhm.
But when it actually comes
Mhm.
to the situation, when your eye is looking around the room, you
Mhm.
pick up a totally different type of woman. And
Exactly.
if you keep coming up short and you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you have to be accountable that you're not picking out the proper person for you over, and that you are doing this over and over again. Not that that person has lots of flaws, because you've probably been identified that the person had lots of flaws, or lived a lifestyle that wasn't conducive to your lifestyle, right?
Mhm.
And then for some reason you're pretending like, oh well, she was the problem because she couldn't do this or she didn't do this. But you continued the situation knowing that all of these problems existed and they weren't going to go anywhere, because
Nope.
it just couldn't. The
No.
problems couldn't go any, it's just who these people are. And
Yes.
you know that that's who, each other are, and you continue to go down that path thinking that for whatever reason, you know either one of y'all's going to do something different. Now, kaboom, it ends, and now it's all the opposite person's fault. You have to take some fault in situations, and then you can change and grow.
Very true.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's I think that's the bad part because a lot of people don't really want to. It goes back to what we said before. Don't want to really make that change
Mhm,
because to them it's too much work.
mhm.
I know I'm messed up, but as long as I can fit her in my messed upness, then we can tolerate each other. But eventually it's not gonna work because your old demons are gonna pop back up because whatever is gonna get under your skin is gonna get under your skin. You're gonna find a reason. Oh, you know what? She's like the other one.
Yeah.
And you really have to make that change. That really have to say, I'm tired of living like this. I'm tired of going through the same BS.
What you just spoke to kind of reminded me of, instead of doing the work, it's like getting out of your comfort zone,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
You're very comfortable when you're dating, or when you're um bunned up. That's my phrase, bunned up. So
Okay. Bunned up.
when you're bunned up with somebody, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very comfortable. And some people perhaps want to do the work while they're bunned up. But sometimes when you're bunned up, when you're comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
there's not much change that
No.
occurs. when someone is comfortable unless they're very mindful
Mm-hmm.
that a change really needs to happen and there's really a plan in effect for a change, right? Which generally
Yes.
is not, most people aren't capable of that.
No.
Um, so yeah, when you said that, I'm just like, yeah, no, that's being comfortable, right? Outside of doing the work, we don't want to get uncomfortable.
There you
And
go.
so that kind of stops us from being willing to even engage in actually doing the work. Because as long as I'm comfortable, I could be miserable, but I do have some comforts here, right,
Mm-hmm.
in the misery.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, especially when we're talking about relationships.
Oh Lord, that's
Yeah,
true. And at some point, that comfort level or being comfortable, if you're in that type of relationship for a long period of time, and
mhm,
time, because time does continue to tick away.
it does.
At what point do you realize that I need to do something different?
So that comfort level is deceiving, meaning it's not going to be long lasting,
Mm.
right? It's going to
Mm-hmm.
fizzle out, and at that point, once it's fizzled out, that's when you realize you got to do something different, and that's pretty much the serial lovers, daters, whatever. Where you kind of see the situation where you always have someone new, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak, because when I'm just not willing to do the work, and it's easier for me to dismiss you and
Oh,
dispose of you
jeez.
as opposed to me calming myself, me doing the work, me being by myself,
Mm-hmm.
me figuring out, what actually happened between you and I, me having a solid conversation,
Mm-hmm.
between me and you, so we can kind of clear the air, being mature about something.
Maturity.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's the other thing is missing, maturity. So many people think maturity is once you turn a certain age, you mature. No,
Mhm.
that's not necessarily true.
Mhm.
There's a whole lot of people 40, 50, 60 years old, immature as hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're wondering why, I can't believe I'm at this stage. And, well, you're immature. You
Mhm.
haven't grown up. So you're not going to get to where you want to be at. And, and they're always envious of people who are there.
Yeah.
I can't believe they did it. How they do it? Well, why
Mhm.
don't you ask them? Why don't you get
Mhm.
outside yourself and ask them, well, well, how did you do it? But again, it's that ego thing. Like,
Mhm.
I know what's right. I know what's right.
Even sometimes when you ask people how they've done it, though, you're still not willing. And so let's take relationships again,
Mm-hmm.
right? I ask you, how do you and your spouse achieve such a peaceful and calm situation? And you respond to me, oh, we went to therapy and we learned
Mm-hmm.
how to talk and communicate to each other. Because
Yes.
we realized that we didn't actually know how to talk and communicate to each other, especially after going through, therapy sessions.
That is true.
In that moment, right, I have a choice to make. Do I trust his word?
Mm-hmm.
Do I dive deeper? Do I
Mm-hmm.
ask anyone else, hey, have you had this experience?
Mm-hmm.
And then, am I willing to take that next step?
True.
Because some of us just are not, right? I'm stuck in my
No.
ways. I'm
I'm
stuck
who I
in
am.
my
I
ways.
am
I
who I
am who I
am. I'm
am.
going to die who I
Yeah,
am, and damn it,
miserable.
I'm not good. Miserable.
That's it
Exactly.
right there.
I'm not. I don't give a damn what. And every day they go home, and again, in the public eye, you show everybody this. Oh, I'm strong and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But you go home, you're crying at night,
Mm-hmm.
wondering, why am I by myself? Why can't I find somebody?
Mm-hmm.
But you keep asking the questions, but you know the answers,
Yeah,
and that means you really have to get uncomfortable.
you do. You
You
do.
really have to really, really get uncomfortable with who you are,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll be able to find this your purpose, your
Mm-hmm.
happiness,
Mm-hmm.
your glory, whatever that is.
Because happiness is a choice, right? But it's
Oh,
something that everyone deserves, right? At least I
everyone
believe.
deserves. Everyone walking the face of the earth deserve happy. They
Mm-hmm.
deserve two things: to be loved and to love others.
Mm-hmm.
If those two very basic things, we're all looking for someone to love us,
Absolutely.
and you always want to say you don't want to put the best face forward to want me to love who you think I am. You know what I love about I love most you. If you're showing me who you are, your pros, your cons, you just basically say, "Here I am,"
Mm-hmm.
and you say, "Damn, that's who they are." And I love who you are because you're not hiding behind a facade.
Yeah.
You're not trying to play a role. You're not trying to do any of this, but you're just saying, "Love me for who I am."
Mm-hmm.
and they can love you for who you are.
Mhm.
Those are the most honest relationships, and those are ones that last forever because you're not worrying about, uh, you know, how you look or any of the other BS. But so many people. So here's a prime example. The other day I saw these beautiful women, just beautiful, and they had all the makeup on. They had all the hair, not their hair, by the way.
Okay.
They had
Okay.
all the hair and all the other stuff, but they're all together.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at them like, damn, it's a Saturday. It's beautiful out here. They're beautiful women, but they're all together. I'm thinking, well, maybe they out, maybe just to have some early lunch.
Little
Or maybe,
girls' day.
yeah,
Yeah.
it could be.
Left all the men at home.
Yeah, could be. Or they
Mhm.
may not have no men at home. I'm just going to say they may not. And again, I don't know, but they were all together. They look beautiful. But I'm thinking, like, you know, of these women, how many of them would just come out with no makeup and just on a regular day and not just come out there and be who they are, how they normally look? Maybe, they got a stocking cap or whatever on. They may not want to come out like that, but at
I'm
least take,
about to say,
at
don't
least
have my
take the
sisters coming out with no stocking
no,
cap
I
on.
mean, at least take the makeup off. So
We
they,
not even wearing bonnets nowadays. No, we taking bonnets off too.
and I understand that. But
Mhm.
how many women would be comfortable just coming outside with no makeup on? Let's say they did their hair, but just no makeup. To me, it just seems like I see women all the time with the makeup just immaculate, like they go into some party or they go into some show. But I'm like, that's a lot of work. It's a Saturday, and you're going with your girls. You just, you may do your hair, but the makeup and stuff is just, it's
It's
just.
a Saturday night. I had to
No,
zhuzh it
Saturday
up.
morning.
Oh
Saturday morning.
my! See,
Saturday
you
morning.
always try.
So no, Saturday morning. We ain't talking about Saturday night. Saturday night, I understand it
I
because you're out there.
tried. I
You're
tried to
mingling.
help 'em.
You're
I
mingling.
tried.
Try to hook up somebody at night. I understand that. But in the morning, y'all hanging out with each other. Oh, just face down, hair down, everything just tight. And I'm just like, couldn't you just come out and you just look regular or
I think that's something that you can afford to think about being in a relationship for so long. Both of you. You've been married for such a long time, and you've been with your partners through looking fantastic. But the key thing that the reason why I interjected was because when you guys first started this podcast, you said something very important. You said when you date, you're showing somebody the best version of you, right? Mm-hmm. You're always trying to be the best version that you can present to the person you're trying to attract. So, if the best version of you, hair done, makeup on, good outfit, you're out Saturday morning, right? You're outside with your girl. That doesn't necessarily mean that y'all just sitting here going to just go out and look like whatever. If you don't have a man and you are trying to find a man, men who are attracted to you will see you and approach you because I don't know who the hell you are seeing you from across the room. I know nothing of you. I know you because I know you. But if somebody walked in this door today, I have no clue what the history is, what they have seen, what they've dealt with, who they've heard, any of that. I just see what you look like. So if I see what you look like and you got your hair nice and long or whatever, but maybe you don't have no makeup on, maybe you're wearing generic outfit, I'm like, oh, okay. Keep it pushing. I'm gonna let you slide through. But you come in your makeup on, clothes all nice. Who the hell is that?
Peacock strut going.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
because that's
Okay.
as a female, that's your peacock. That's your
look
at me.
calling card.
Exactly, just like for you,
Okay.
your calling card is you can walk into a room, you got your gray beard, your hair all long and dreaded. They see the little gray sparkles.
Did he call them sparkles?
Yeah, I call them sparkles for you.
Gray sparkles.
Because they glisten in the light. Because it glisten like hair all long, right?
Yeah.
That's you showing off without you showing off because you're the OG. So younger girls are gonna be like, dang, look at him. He fit. Look at his arms, he all muscle. You go to lift something. Oh, look at his body. You know what I mean? That's you showing off without showing off. So for a woman, I don't get a chance to talk to you until I pull up on you. But I gotta have a reason to pull up. And they're trying to attract that man to pull up.
But I think also at some point, right? I don't know about y'all, but I know in my day, okay, no makeup on, you gonna notice me from across the room. I'm just saying. Remember what they say where the Nia Longs at? The girls without no makeup?
Uh-huh.
Now you gonna notice some of us from across the room. No makeup on.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
And so is it that there's too many who's out with the makeup on Saturday morning? Is that what's happening?
That may be it, because you're right. There's a lot. I think that's, as a producer says, it's a calling card.
Yeah, it absolutely.
It's a calling card. And you're right. You're out there with the, never thought about that. You're out there with the young ladies and
you bring
Saturday
your best.
morning, and you want
probably
to
out
bring
the
your
brunch,
best.
and it's probably a good brunch too.
It
yeah,
has to be.
I
If
gotta
you're looking
bring
like
my
that,
A-game.
oh, you
Yeah,
got to.
no,
So you're
for
seeing
real.
somebody, you want somebody to see you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess the women, I guess some women don't need as much makeup as others.
So it was too much.
I think it was too much.
Okay.
I think it was.
For your generation, is it too much?
For
When you
us,
see the average woman today.
so if I see an
your
average
age
woman
group,
and I'm like, I'm more impressed at a woman, like I said, with no makeup on than with makeup on. However, I also understand that some people just simply benefit from having makeup on. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily an insult, it's just fact. Women have so many ways to modify who they actually are. You have surgeries, implants, you have makeup, you have heels. You can change your height, the actual look of who you actually are, and your physical body type.
Yeah.
No cap. A dude can't do none of that. If I see a dude out there looking like Prince, freaking eyeliner, eyebrows perfectly done, chisel contour, there might be a chick who's sitting there saying, wow. But more than likely, you're probably thinking, that dude not looking for me as a woman. He's looking for somebody else. But there are guys who do that. But most guys don't, because you can't. No guys walking around in heels. Most guys aren't. You can't modify your height. I can't modify my size. But a woman can modify all of that to fit an image in which they believe the people they're trying to attract desire.
And I hear it, and that's great. But now comes the next part. The outside looks beautiful. Yes. Now, how are you inside? If you're using that to catch me, that's great. But once I actually now start to talk to you, hopefully you're deeper than the outside. Hopefully this is just a calling card for a deeper conversation. Because if you don't know anything, it's like, oh, she's just pretty.
Yeah, that's what I would assume. We gotta go deeper.
Yeah.
Another question is, what happens when you have to take all that off and you have to be your actual real self? No eyelashes, no makeup, wigs off. You have to be your actual real self. Is he still gonna?
Okay, so are you saying that you've taken off the eyelashes, you've taken off the makeup, you've removed the contouring of the face, right? And perhaps you presented as a 10, and what you're saying, you got knocked down to a 7 now?
If even that.
If even that, okay. And is he still interested? I'm gonna go with you on this one. Are you still interested? The girl got knocked down a few notches because the makeup got taken away. Because like you said, it made her. It does enhance the beauty of a lot.
Oh, the shape
now
the
she's
Spanx came
she's
off.
her, yeah.
I
So
think-
now she's her
Exactly.
real size.
You're yourself. You're your real size. I think the biggest problem for me is that you never felt comfortable enough to be you. You felt the need to be somebody else to find a match. So therefore, like you said before, you never actually had them fall in love with you. They fell in love with the idea of the person in which you presented.
But is that fair to say? Because if I have a man or not, I'm still gonna present when I go out looking a certain type of way versus when I'm in the house.
Right, but I expected to see that in the house.
Oh, okay.
You know what I
She
mean?
doesn't-
So if I
yes.
see you outside, I'm thinking, man, she looks great. Body, pow, 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 pow.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
I
like,
did all that.
fantastic.
Yeah.
We get to the crib, you're like, whoo! You start taking the hair off, you wipe the makeup off, you take the leg off, like type joke. I'm gonna get you something. You know what I mean? Whoa! No.
Don't make me hot that
Don't make me hot.
So now we get with amputees.
No, but I'm saying it was a ridiculous idea, but the same premise of the guy as a woman, the guy that you meet is the guy that you meet. He might tell you things that convince you, but what he looks like is what he looks like.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, but y'all still deceiving either way though, because you come over smooth talking me. You're not regularly a smooth talker. You're rough. You talk to me rough after this night, right? You normally get the rough talking me later on.
Right, because that's what your attractiveness is, right? For women, the attraction is emotional.
Yeah.
It's what I say to you. It's how I present you, how I make you feel.
Right,
because a woman
right.
will remember how you made them feel quicker than they remember who you look like.
Yeah. That's
They'll
the most
quickly remember, like,
important
man,
part.
he was so, like the amount of people I know, just because of how I made them feel by being in my presence,
Yeah,
is different than the people who just know what I look like.
absolutely.
They're like, oh man, I don't remember what you look, but I remember your voice. So I remember like when this went sideways, I remember you were the one who helped me do blah blah blah. Because that's our connection. Because it's an emotional connection for women to men. Whereas I feel like from men to women, it's a physical attraction that leads to the emotional attraction. Because physically I'm attracted to you, but now as I got a chance to know you, as we got a chance to have a conversation, I got a chance to fall for you
I needed a little
emotionally
bit
as
more
well
support.
to kind of follow up behind it.
Absolutely.
But the initial attraction
It's physical.
is physical, whereas for women, the initial attraction is emotional. So that disconnect means that the guy's gonna come up and say whatever he thinks that you want to hear,
Yes.
and you're gonna look the way you believe he wants you. He wants you to look. So because you're trying to guess what the other person wants, because nobody wants to be honest and say this is what I actually want, you're now always fighting expectations. So now you have to kind of just make a guess. You have to assume that the girl you're pulling up is gonna fall for that. Because for every woman who hears, you know what, girl, you look beautiful, you look fine as hell today, she's gonna be excited. But the same guy can approach another woman in the same building, say the exact same sentence, and get a whatever and a please. Piss off.
Yeah.
Because I know you're playing a game.
Yeah.
Because that's just something you say because of how confidently in which you said it.
Yeah.
That's just a script. Because you're already on guard, especially if you're somebody who's like, I'm not going to fall for that. Whereas as a guy, seeing a woman, I'm like, man, she looks good, she look good, she look good, she look good, she look good. I don't need to do anything. I just got to go approach.
Yes.
And then I just say the same thing to everybody, and then whoever takes this bait, that's who I stay with. And then we go in that, we keep going. Because for a woman, it's a bait too. You're throwing a bait, you look good, say who's gonna bite.
Are you saying y'all only got but so many lines? It's limited? Is it limited?
As transparently as possible, most guys find what works. Most people find what works. Goes back to your initial conversation before I interject it. You having a conversation with somebody forces you to now have to guess and alter what you say and what you do to try to find where you can get your in. Whereas when you see somebody, you just see them. They look good. They look pretty, fantastic, wonderful. At least I know she look good. I'm interested. Let me go. Now I gotta go try to finesse this conversation. So you try to find check marks that you can kind of say, okay, is she a person who is a comedic person? Is she somebody who is very emotional? Is she somebody who's very serious? So you try to throw leading statements that you know, okay, well, if she laughs at this, then maybe she'll laugh at that. Okay, cool. She laughs at that. Fantastic. So maybe she'll laugh at this. All right, cool. So now I know kind of how we need to steer this conversation because now I know that you're attracted because now emotionally you feeling me and I'm feeling you now. Because now I know how you kind of move because of the things I've said that gave me little check marks to say, okay, she's kind of this person, or this is how she's vibing right now. But a lot of guys also are bad at taking hints. to recognize where she's just being kind versus where she's being interested, because you don't know. It's just a guess. I'm guessing based on this interaction that you're vibing with me. So my assumption is, now let me ask for your number.
You see how my eyes move? They change all the way. They love to act like they don't know the difference between a polite hello and, oh man, I want to get to know you.
So what's the difference?
I don't know, but you can see it in my eyes. I feel like, like, you know, all in well, I just said good morning to you.
It's an engaging look.
Yeah, like I didn't stare at you that long. Like if the look was just quick, hey, good morning, and then I kept on moving, then yeah, that's just me being kind.
But this,
Now, hold on. How you doing? Hey, good morning. How are you?
laughing at all the dumb stuff, laughing at even the silliest things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when. But you know, short good morning. And, come on, that was too quick.